slow day here at the shop for FEL Tremblant, and I thought I'd take this opportunity just to show you a bit more about how our load process works. So we've got our hauler here. It's actually an old Penske hauler used by Rusty Wallace, funnily enough. But for the load process itself, we'll usually start with our load list. That is a fully exhaustive list of everything we'll need to have on the hauler to bring to our races. It'll have all of the toolboxes, tools we need, all of our support equipment, literally everything we'll need for the weekend, just to make sure that in the process of loading, we're not missing anything. One thing we've recently started using that's a big help for us as far as loading and as far as keeping track of all of our equipment and making the whole process of loading and unloading easier is our flight cases here. These guys we put together for a few different purposes, and each one is dedicated to one specific thing, either a program or a type of equipment we're loading. When we get back from a race weekend, the whole thing will roll off the truck and go back in the shop. It'll have an individual load list that we'll go over, that we'll pack and repack, check over, and then put back on the hauler. And so it makes for a super simple process because we don't have 10,000 individual things that we're pulling off and putting back on all the time. This guy just stays full with everything that lives inside it, and it just comes and goes based on if it's coming on a weekend with us. We also have our pit carts down here that we take. This one here is our smaller one that has just some of the basics. We'll keep airlines in there, we'll keep extension cords in there, some of our basic tools, and that will come to pit lane with us. Sometimes it'll just stay in under the tent in the paddock as well. We do have a bigger one, our engineering cart, that will often go to pit lane. That one has pop-up seats. It'll go under our tent. That one is a lot bigger, has a lot more space in it. This weekend we're not taking it, we're just sticking with the small one here because we're only running 2 cars, smaller programs this weekend. But this one will go to the track with us and it'll be super handy. So on top of these guys, we also have the back section here that you are capable of loading an extra car into, but for the most part we don't. We'll have loose items that go in here. So we have our pop-up tents, we've got the different parts for our awning, we've got some toolboxes over here, our fuel equipment for fueling up at the track, generators, fans, all that good stuff. Well, a bunch of other stuff that will go along the sides here. And then as well, you can fit stuff down the middle. We'll have our setup pads rolled in here at some point. And then additionally, we also have up here our lounge, which is a great space to have with us during a race weekend. It's a good space for the crew to hang out, have our team meetings, for our drivers to hang out in between sessions. We have an air conditioner in here, so it's kept cool. It's a great place to just relax and have some downtime in between sessions. We also keep a lot of our hospitality stuff up in here. We'll have some of our tables, our scooters, whatever, our coolers. Those will transport back and forth from up here. But it's a good space to have with us for the weekend. Makes a big difference being able to just come in here when you need to look something over or whatever. And then the other benefit is we have Starlink on our hauler here. So we have Wi-Fi everywhere we go in the hauler. And so when we're trying to look over data or we're doing any sort of work at the track, you always have internet access and you can just work from right in here. It also reaches quite far around the hauler, so you can work outside or anywhere else, and it makes it super simple to get ourselves up and running the second we get to the track. And then up here on the second floor, we also have our cars loaded in. Right now we have one of our Radicals up here. The second one's just being worked on right now, and that'll get loaded up shortly. And then also along the sides we have all of the poles and all of the brackets for our awning that goes up off the side of the hauler. It's all numbered and labeled, and everything will be pulled out piece by piece and then set up to have our awning set up outside to cover our paddock space and cover the cars and our workspace out there. It's super handy to have. We've got a pretty good workflow for getting that up and down now, so we're pretty efficient at that now. In order to get all that stuff in here, we have our liftgate on the back. Pops out and lays flat, and it goes up and down. We'll be able to get things up to the lower levels and roll those in at the bottom. And then on the top floor, we'll roll it all the way to the top. It get a bit hectic if you got a long car. Our TCR, it's quite heavy, and then the LMP3, because how long it is, will get a bit sketchy because it'll hang right off the edge. You put a block there and it just holds it in place. So yeah, during this loading process, we'll pull everything out, we'll follow our load list, we'll get everything packed out here, slowly roll it in piece by piece. We'll have a sort of repeatable process for how it fits in, just to make sure we're efficient on space. So there you go, that's our process for getting things loaded up. Bit of a rainy one, but we'll still get it done, and back to your regular scheduled content. So we're out on track here for a track walk, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is always one of my favorite things to do whenever we go to a track is get out here and see it up close and walk around, get a feel for the track. These are a lot of these are tracks that I've driven before in sim or whatever, so it's a really exciting experience getting to actually get up close and personal, and helps inform my driving. But regardless, it's often such a beautiful walk. Like here at Tremblant, it's just such a gorgeous place to be, such like fantastic scenery. So regardless, it's just like a super exciting thing to do as part of the weekend, get up close and personal with these racetracks, some of these places that have so much history. And so we're doing that today with we got Amelia, Liang, and Travis. We're doing a walk mainly for Travis and Liang's benefit. They've got Rowan on FaceTime because he's out sick. He's working remote this weekend, so they're working together to go over the profile of the track, pick out their references and their markers and all that, and get their plan set up. Since they didn't do any testing today, it was just too wet. The data would have been relatively useless. So they're going to do all of the running starting tomorrow. So today, this track walk makes a big difference, being able to get all that extra little bit of information before they actually start driving tomorrow. But it's a gorgeous place to be. It's super fun part of the weekend. So Friday morning here at Tremblant, we're in pretty early this morning. Still was finishing up some work on the 22 car. It was just causing us some trouble with setup last night. We were chasing our numbers. We couldn't get the front corners to balance, couldn't get the splitter height right, couldn't get the ride height right, and it was just, everything was just all out of whack. And so we were chasing that pretty deep into the evening. Finally got it to a pretty good place around 8:30, so we were able to take off. But we had to come back in at around 7 this morning so we could just do a nut and bolt, finish up with toe, camber, make sure everything was in a perfect place, get it all fueled, get them ready for the morning, get tires done, all that. And so that, luckily, we were able to get through and on time. Went out for sound check, passed that, which is really good because they've been super strict about sound all weekend. And so went out for our first session. As you can see behind me, we just pulled back out of pit lane, finished our first session of the morning. First official session of the weekend. Today is the start of the race weekend itself, so that's pretty exciting. And so that seemed to go pretty well. I was out taking photos at a couple of different corners, but I didn't see us coming in and out of pit, so it doesn't look like we ran into any trouble, and it seemed like it was overall a good session. And we'll be out again pretty soon. There's the guys headed back to pits there now.
First session in the books here at Tremblant. Everybody's a little bit concerned about the noise restrictions that they have here. Fortunately, the new XXR car, for myself actually, didn't have any issues. Liang got called in at one point, but I think we have a good fix for it. Setup balance feels great. And we got only 2 practice sessions, so it's really quick to try to get up to speed and make sure the car's dialed in. But this is the last race of the championship, so it really matters to be smart, try not to get yourself out of position, and really try not to lose it. So hit your marks, make sure we're doing everything right, and see how it goes for the next practice session this afternoon.
All right, so it's Saturday morning here at the track. It's super foggy, super cold. Right now we're just going through the final bits of setup before we send them out on track. Not as much to do last night as there was Thursday night because we got the car in a good place. There wasn't much change. We still put the 22 on the setup pads, raised the ride height a little bit just because it had been dragging along the track under braking. And so to try and mitigate that, thought we'd just raise the ride heights a bit. And so this morning there was not much to do. We had some issues with the valve block on the 22. We were getting denied some shifts and we were having an air leak through that, so the sequential gearbox just wasn't going through the shifts and we were running out of pressure at a certain point. It wasn't anything super serious, but something we still wanted to address. So looked over that. Brody pulled it apart, serviced it, installed it this morning, and so far it seems to be working pretty well. Still just purging tires, wiping the cars down, getting all that kind of stuff ready. But setups are good, tires are almost ready. Those should be in the cars shortly. We're going to be ready to roll in about 30 minutes. All right, so headed out to film race 1. Should be a really good one. Qualifying was a bit hit or miss. Liang went well. Did set his personal best at the track. Qualified 4th in class. But for Travis, that valve block is causing more problems. He got stuck in 4th gear, couldn't downshift anymore. Got it back to the pits, and it was sometimes shifting, sometimes not. And as it turns out, the connector for the valve block was broken. One of the pins was pushed in. One of the sleeves of the pins was pushed in, and so it wasn't always making contact, wasn't allowing downshifts every time, and so it was a bit of a nightmare for that. So he's having to start from the back, but what that does mean is that he's going to be charging through the field, and we should be on for a really good race for to make up those places. But anyway, that's about to start, so we'll see how that goes, and hopefully make for a good result for both cars. Didn't start out the way we expected. That issue in qualifying had me starting from dead last, but it was a nice fight to push through the field. Ended up taking home 2nd by the end, so really happy with that. Shop Pay Radical handled great the entire race. Unfortunately, because of that qualifying, we'll be starting last place again tomorrow, so we'll get to do that all again.
wild second race here at Mont Tremblant. Again, with that quality effort, we had to start from the back. Great spotting from the guys just to time the greens properly, and Liang for giving me just enough room to get by there. We were able to push up to 4th place throughout that race. Didn't quite have enough to be able to get back on that podium, but it was a tremendous battle. Brady fought valiantly and was able to hold me off. So narrow to make the podium, but obviously we were thinking championship contention. I had Chris Stiles behind me, so that gave us just enough points to be able to stay ahead of him in the championship, which secures Shop Pay Radical XXR 3rd place in the championship for the 2024 Radical Cup Canada season. I'm really proud of the whole team, proud of all the effort that everybody's done, the work we've done with this new XXR chassis. Looking forward to another opportunity. Thankful for these ones, and we'll see you in 2025.